Shalom, shalom. This is the brother Kadar Bond, GMS, Mississippi Gulf Coast. I'd like to start by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors are given unto the apostles, elders of Great Millstone, men who have labored and suffered in this truth for over 30 plus years, making their lives and their bodies a living sacrifice. I also like to send a shalom to the hopeful elect, the 1/3 of the nation of Israel, the speckled bird that is scattered about the four winds of planet Earth, north, south, east, and west. I also like to send a shalom to the various GMS camps, heads of those camps, also elders. Last but not least, I'd like to send a shalom to any of you Akim that are out there on the highways and hedges, not named GMS, but walking one body, one spirit in Yahweh Shai, bringing forth this 100% truth with all sincerity and diligence. To you all, shalom. Lord willing, this be edifying and to the point. Lord willing. Now let's get to the subject matter at hand. There's a lot going on in the news today, especially concerning protests and lockdowns and, mandates and the dropping of mandates and wars and rumors of war, the failing economy, inflation, a whole plethora of different issues, which is has been prophesied in scriptures. Goes without saying, all of these things are prophesied in scripture. Matter of fact, I'm going to start with a scripture real quick, if I can. A lot of these things were prophesied, like I said. Let's see. Let's go real quick. Real quick, just see if we can back that up in the apocrypha. Real quick, let's see if we can back that up with the apocrypha. This is 2nd Ezra, chapter 15. We're going to start at the top. And it reads, Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. All that's been written in the scriptures is of the inspiration of the Spirit of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And they are faithful and true. Nothing that has been written in these scriptures has not come to fruition. The only thing that hasn't come to fruition are the certain prophecies that are not manifest yet. But we are in that time. We're in that very time. Anything that the Lord say, it shall be. It says, verse 3, it says, Fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. So, all you unbelievers, you choose not to turn to the right and do what is required of you so-called black, Latinos, Native Americans, which make up the nation of Israel. Believe what you may. None of that's going to deter the men of the Lord. Lord willing, we are those men for bringing forth this truth. Verse 4 says, For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction, for wickedness had exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Therefore, said the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and the righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. So, it's just setting the stage. We are in those times right here where the Lord is going to bring all this hell. He said he's not going to deal with it anymore. The water, y'all about Shem y'all shot for that. So you get tired living in a world full of filth and abominations and anything goes, it's very vexing to the soul. But now, just want to start off with a scripture real quick. This right here, and I brung that out to say this because we see all of these things happening, right? And by and large, the so-called blacks, Latinos, Native and Seminole Americans of Babylon the Great, a.k.a. America, they, for the most part, speaking to about 2/3, they, for the most part, they walk along day to day amongst their merry little lives as though none of these things are happening. Giving on their power to these, giving on their strength to these wicked powers. This wicked society. All this truth is going out. All the evidence is being brought forth to show the wickedness thereof. And our people, for the most part, pretend, as though it's just another day. It's all gonna get better sooner or later. Which leads you to believe, you have certain organizations that have a 501c3 charter with this presiding government rulership. Therefore, there's rules and regulations to the contract that they have with the powers that be. And I say this cynically, being cynical. It leads you to think, what do the American public by and large got a 501c3 charter with its government? That they'll just turn a blind eye to things and just accept anything goes? Do they unknowingly have a 501c3 charter with the American government? So, like you for that interruption there. But back to the subject matter at hand, And like I said, I say that being cynical, because the American public, by and large, is just a bunch of dumb asses, like a dumb animal, like a dumb animal. Let's go into the word dumb real quick. Let's go into that word. Google me the etymology of the word dumb.
According to Etymonline, Old English dumb, of persons, mute, silent, refraining from speaking or unable to speak, from Proto-Germanic dummas, dumb, dull, which is perhaps from pi du, confusion, stupefaction, dizziness, from root diheu, dust, mist, vapor, smoke, also expressing related notions of defective perception or wits.
Hey, that sums up the American public by and large. And I'm speaking mainly to you so-called blacks, Latinos, Native and Seminole Americans, which make up 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. You're dumb. And, and maybe that's not the best way to address or to try to reach your people, but hey, the fact of the matter is that's true. That's the truth. Now let's go into Edamon online real quick. Let's see, online etymology dictionary reads dumb, adjective. Old English dumb, a person, mute, silent, and they're silent for the most part. Because when you look at what's going on in these other European nations, such as France, Germany, Australia, etc., the people are rising up they're rising up to the world leaders, to their puppet leaders. They're showing some level of resistance. Not to say that that's not happening here, but not on the scale that you think it would be, because these people over here have been found to be liars, blatant liars. And you would think that all the rank and file politicians that have been sent up to the federal level, you would think these people would hold them accountable for these lies and this back talk and this back walking of words that they do here, instead of at the same time reframing and taking their rights. But you're not seeing that because these people are dumb. And you Jakes, you so-called blacks, Latinos, Native and Seminole Americans, you just go along with the flow. Monkey see, monkey do. Monkey jump off the bridge, so do you. Mute, silent, refraining from speaking or unable to speak. Proto-Germanic dumbass, dumb dull, which is perhaps from confusion, stupefaction, dizziness, from root dull, dust, and that word dust goes into confusion. Mist, vapor, smoke, also expression related notion of defective perceptions or wits. So your whole perception of this place is defective. Just like it says, your whole perception of this place is defective. You know. Anyway, let's read a little bit here. We don't want to make this too long. You know, being a Jake myself, first and foremost, you know, Jake's attention span ain't the best in the world, especially if it ain't preaching no followness. Anyway, let's read common 501c3 rules and regulations. It says the government recognizes that charitable and certain other types of organizations provide valuable community services that would be impossible for the government to provide using taxpayers' funds. Now, it says right here, provide valuable community services. And, you got some of these Israelite groups rather, that are providing a valuable community service, liking on to fill their pockets. But now, in doing so, then they can't what? They have to be mute. They have to be mute. Let's go right back real quick. They have to be what? They have to be mute. What? They have to be mute, silent, refrain from speaking. Let's read again. It says the government recognizes that charitable and certain other types of organizations provide valuable community services that will be impossible for the government to provide using taxpayer funds. Valuable community services. And some of these groups, you know what I'm saying, most high blessed in Christ, you know what I'm saying, and you might as well join, IUSPK and get you some women, get you a job. They have to refrain. They have to be mute and silent, refrain from speaking, you know what I'm saying, on certain issues, like knowing the Lord's name. You understand? Now, I'm speaking about these two groups in particular because it's on record from their own mouths that they have a 501c charter with the government. And I'm just going over the rules and regulations of it. So they do have to be mute and refrain from speaking. You know, they have to sell a defective perception to their congregation, to their community that they're serving. Let's keep going. While the government can't fully support nonprofit organizations, The 501c3 code of the IRS classifies them as tax exempt, not having to pay taxes on donations and on the funds they raise stretches their dollars, making it easier for them to continue providing valuable services for the community. That popped up twice in the same paragraph. Providing valuable services, and those valuable services is conveniently not, forgetting the Lord's name, joining this group so that they can grow financially, and you can get you a job and some women. All unprofitable reasons to be dealing with the devil like this. Therefore, specific rules and regulations for starting a 501c3, and there are rules for maintaining one. Failure to abide by those rules mean losing tax exempt status. The federal government also lists rules for dissolving charitable organizations. It's important for organizations that qualify as tax exempt to know and follow all applicable rules to avoid penalties and other liabilities. Types of 501c3 organizations. Check this out. The Federal Tax Code lists several different types of organizations that do not have to pay income taxes. Here are some of the basic categories: charities, hospitals, religious organizations. So, when you're listening to your pastor and your preacher, your bishop, you know what I'm saying? You're listening to someone who's on the regulations, who's been reframed to address certain things, you understand, so that they can keep their monetary gain. All that they bring in charitably, they can stay in their pockets. They don't have to pay the taxes. Educational institutions, scientific organizations, library groups that test the public safety, groups that foster national and international, amateur sport competitions, anti-cruelty organizations for animals and children. The federal government also classifies private foundations as non-profit organizations. These types of organizations are largely philanthropic in nature. I read ain't the best. But of course, if you hear my videos, you know that to be the case. Because they invest some percentage of their fundraising dollars. The federal government has different rules that they must abide by to maintain their status as nonprofit organizations. Organizations that receive more than 1/3 of their support from gross investment income are considered private foundations. The IRS requires private foundations to submit detailed tax returns. Startup rules for 501c3 organizations. A 501c3 organization typically begins when a group of people share a common goal of starting a nonprofit organization to fill a need within their community. That word community again. I wonder what the need that they need to fill in the community of Israel, where they have to make these deals with the devil. After carefully choosing a name for the organization, the founders get to work writing the articles of incorporation. The articles of incorporation must include their corporation name, contact information, purpose, registered agent, founding directors, and information about shares of stock, because once they are filed, they become public record in most states. Founders file the forms for the articles of incorporation with the Secretary of State's office. Organizations usually have to designate an incorporator who signs and files the articles of incorporation with the proper authorities and pay the appropriated filing fee. There may be separate forms for applying for federal or state tax exempt status. Where it says that organizations usually have just name signed with the proper authorities. It says bylaws are separate and different from the articles of incorporation. The founding directors write the bylaws, which outline how the nonprofit runs, including the rights and responsibilities of officers and directors. Nonprofit organizations do not have to file bylaws with the state, but they need to keep them in their files. It says the next step is usually to appoint a founding board or board of directors and to hold the first board meeting. After that, the board needs to follow up on obtaining all the proper licenses. And the word license goes into permission and permits to open a bank account for the nonprofit fund. And this word is not set up for be profitable. Not in that sense. Not in that sense. It's set up to be profitable in the spirit so that you can regain what you have lost with the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And that's your heritage and your knowledge of who you are in conjunction with the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushua, that you were created to serve Him. You know, not all this. Requirements to maintain 501c3. The government intends for nonprofit entities to retain nonprofit entities. So they set up some rules that tax-exempt organizations must obey in order to keep their tax-exempt status. Not knowing the rules isn't an excuse for disobeying them. So, if they slip up and say the name or whatever the case may be, that's going to be no excuse, because they should read the rules of the contract in which they have voluntarily obliged themselves in. Those who try to blur or cross the line could end up with fines or face other legal consequences. Private benefits. Organizations, here are 6 things to watch out for. Private benefits. Organizations that apply for tax-exempt status cannot serve the private interest or private benefit of any individual or organization besides itself past an insubstantial degree. Therefore, a nonprofit may not permit any of its income or assets to benefit insiders, such as board members, officers, directors, and important employees. Nonprofits are not allowed to urge their members to support or to oppose legislation. There it is. Then we're going to get to the crux of it. Listen to that. Nonprofit are not allowed to urge their members to support or oppose legislation. They may participate in small amount of lobbying, but lobbying activities may not exceed certain amount of organizations' total expenses. Political campaigning activities. Oh man, a nonprofit organization may not financially support or endorse any political candidates verbally or in writing. They may not oppose candidates either. This rule applies either. This rule applies to candidates at every level, state and federal. Unrelated business incomes. Nonprofit organizations are not allowed to generate too much income from a purpose that is unrelated to the nonprofit. Look at these rules, man. An organization that regularly operates and trades or business that is unrelated to the nonprofit and makes significant contributions to the organization would need to pay taxes. Annual reporting obligations. Nonprofit corporations still have reporting responsibilities like the Form 990. They may also be responsible for things like tax on unrelated income, employment tax, exercise tax, and certain state and local tax. Churches and other church-related organizations do not need to report income. Yeah, because guess what? Right here it says political campaign and activity. Nonprofit organizations may not financially support or endorse any political candidate verbally or writing. They may not oppose candidates either. They can't even oppose, certain things. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Annual reporting. Okay, we just read that. Operate in accord with state nonprofit purpose. An organization that makes a big shift from being unprofitable to making money needs to refile as a for-profit entity and to pay the applicable taxes. Anyway, you can go and Google this and see for yourself. This is just making a deal with the devil, making a deal with the deceiver. And like I said, the question that I asked is do the American public by and large have a 50c3 charter with its government? And like I said, I say that do they have a 501c3 charter with their government unknowingly? And like I said, I say that being being funny, cracking a joke. I'm gonna jump. Let me go to Isaiah real quick. Isaiah 30. It says right here, Isaiah 30 and verse 1, it says, "Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin." Now we read in 2nd Ezra that the Most High has had his field with this place, dealing with the iniquities that done laid up. It says right here now, 2nd Ezra 15, and it says, "Behold, the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world." This is 2nd Ezra 15 and verse 5. "The sword, famine, death, and destruction." And it says, verse 6, "For wickedness had exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their harmful works are fulfilled." And in Isaiah 30, it's kind of echoing the same sentiment. Woe to the rebellious children, just you Israelites, you so-called blacks, Latino, Native, and Seminole Americans, saith the Lord Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. And you taking part in these 501c3 charters and whatnot, Israelites that know they're Israelites, I'm talking about, they know who they are, Woe unto you, destruction. The Most High going to destroy these people. And like I say, America by and large acts as though the citizenship of this country Babylon the Great, aka America, by and large, unknowingly acts as though they have a 50c3 charter with their government. Because all the hell and mayhem and things that are being displayed on the mainstream news platforms, these people should be up in arms about why these things are happening, and the source reason of why these things are happening. They're just not happening just out of happenstance, just something just happened last week, and these things have been brewing up to this point. And for these people to be walking around here like dumbasses, mute, defective thinking, dizzy, it's like it, dizzy, this doesn't make no sense. Defective perception, or wits. That's what you are. People who have a defective perception or wits about what's really happening. And our people, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native and Seminole Americans, you people are dumb dogs for the most part. And it's a lot here for me using this terminology, but it goes without saying, there's just too much happening for these people to just be sitting around just laxed in their dumbness. Let me read more in this Isaiah, verse 2, and it says that walk to go down into Egypt and to have acts of and have not acts, Salakia, at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. And you're gonna be confused when the Most High start bringing all this hell and destruction and confusion here to America, which is knocking at your doorstep. You got the northern nation right there, the southern border, kicking down the wall to get over here, because it's mayhem, it's confusion, it's bloodshed, it's Jacob's trouble for lack of words that are happening in these parts of the world, and all that chaos and confusion is going to ensue right here in Babylon the Great, aka America, and you're going to be confused when it happens, because first thing Jake like to say is, that cannot be a God of mine. My God wouldn't do that. You're right. Your God wouldn't do that. Your Caesar Bush, your Allah, your Shiva, Buddha, whoever you prescribe to, they probably wouldn't do that. But the power of Israel, Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, yes, he would, and he would do it righteously so. Because like it says, you people have made a charter, a 501c charter with America, with this government. You're quick to be the first ones to be standing up for voting rights, and just like the brother you watch, as I say, you got taxation without representation. You're not even really represented. You be the first ones out there complaining about getting gunned down in the streets. And be the first one to forgive too. Not only that, you be the first one to complain and be. I'm talking about number one to forgive. This place is going to be your confusion when the Most High unzips that bag of hell on this place. And it's coming very soon, It's coming. It's coming very, very soon. Let's go jump right over to the next chapter, Isaiah 31. And it reads, woe to them that go down to Egypt for help. And then when everything pop off down here, you be the first one in line with all this evidence to show that this man has nothing good in mind for you or people who look like you. You be the first one in line for health care. First one in line for any experimental drugs that are slocking, for any experiments that they have. You want to be the crash dummy. I remember them commercial days had that crash dummy in the car. That's what Israel represents. You represents the crash dummy that they test the cars with. That they ultimately end up buying the most top end, top line luxury cars that a lot of you jakes can't even afford. But guess what? You are the crash dummies. And guess what? You're just happy to. Just as happy as you can be, just to be a part of something. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seeketh the Lord Yahweh. You don't even seek out the Lord. You don't believe in the Lord. You be the same people say that, the Lord blessed me with this and the Lord blessed me with that. But the true power of Israel, you don't even believe. Your trust is in this man, and you'll make up every excuse to give him all the power and the glory. I'm talking about this society, this beast system. Verse 2, it says, yea, he also is wise and will bring evil and will not call back his word, but will arise against the house of the evildoers and against the help of them that worketh iniquity. Huh? What you gonna do then? You gonna call on Jesus? You gonna call on Allah? What you gonna do in that day? Real quick. Jeremiah. Let's go to Jeremiah real quick. Real quick. Jeremiah 11 and 11. I'm going to close out with this. This is Jeremiah 11:11. It says, therefore saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will bring evil upon them which they say, which they shall not be able to escape. And though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them. Huh? So you go right ahead on and live out this uncertified 501c3 charter that you have with the government. And the Most High unleash hell on this place, he won't hear you. Lord willing, it was edifying. I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostle elders of Great Millstone. And with that, shalom.